And deployment wasn't over yet. And, you know, there was more fighting to be done. Going back to the book, an army convoy had been ambushed north of Monty. Lieutenant Kerr and Captain Bryant, the company commander, were on their way to assist. I looked at Colonel Yu, who nodded in agreement. Minutes later, Yu, Bacchus, Staff Sergeant Richards, and some of the colonel's guys that came with him, a dozen Askars, and I were headed out the gate. And basically what you run into is there's a huge kind of, what, did somebody hit an IED? Is that what had happened? Or was
no, they ambushed them on the side of this, and what they done, they blew the Jingo trucks up and blocked the road so that, you know, they intertwined those Jingo trucks in between the U.S. convoy, and it's so stupid. Mm-hmm. And so the Jingo truck is blown up, and it's blocking the road. So guess what happens to the rest of them?
They're all sitting.
And you can't go around it because it's about a 250-foot drop-off into the Kunar River on the side. So they're stuck on the side of this, and I've been listening to it on the radio for a long time. And I knew they were going to get slaughtered. I knew that you weren't just going to sit there. And they had buttoned up.
So that's what you were talking about earlier. You button up and you wait. Well, now they're going to maneuver on you.
Yep, and that's what they were doing. And that's what they were doing. So the guys in the Jingo trucks had jumped out. And I kept asking over the radio, you know, because I could monitor. And I kept asking over the radio. And I could see the smoke from where I was at. And I kept asking over the radio as a clip platoon. And I kept combat logistics platoon. And I kept asking over the radio, how many rounds have you fired? Because I was afraid they were going to get low on ammo. 0.
Damn. So that's when you rolled out. You get out there and...
this is 3 days after Ganjgal.
Damn. PKMs and AKs were hammering down on this mess with little return fire. It would be crazy to drive into that tangle of vehicles. Is it Bocus or Bacchus?
Bocus, yeah.
Bocus. Bocus was on the Mark 19 on our truck. He couldn't shoot because of the angles of fire. Richard stayed in the driver's seat while I advanced on foot by bounds into the wreckage. Our Askars ran forward with us, but their light M16s didn't impress the Taliban machine gun crew. I was quickly pinned behind a disabled truck. Looking up, I could see the PKM was shooting from a thick stone house 200 meters upslope. Excited to have a target so close, I fired about 5 shells from my grenade launcher before my common sense kicked in. What am I doing? I thought. I'm outmatched by a machine gun, but there's an Army Humvee sitting next to me with no one in the 50 cal turret. You run over there. Man, you're 50 cal, I yelled. Where logistics, came the muffled reply. We don't fight. Some supply guys can't wait to get into the action, but not this gang. I wasn't worried, though. Wildman Kerr would soon have air on station. Bodies were scattered all over the road, all civilians lying face down next to me. Alongside the army truck was a skinny teenager in a t-shirt, bleeding from shrapnel in his chest and his left arm. He was a pathetic sight, sprawled on his back in his filthy brown shorts, an orange-tipped needle protruding from above his heart, and a plastic stopper shoved above his left nostril. He didn't weigh as much as I ate in a day. His hands and feet were uglier than the dirt from his efforts to crawl out of the line of fire. He wasn't old enough to grow a beard, but he had a full shock of black hair. Not a bad-looking kid. Once he was cleaned up at the aid station and had some ice cream, he'd be okay. I felt good. In fact, I was pumped. I'd applied dozens of tourniquets, but this was the first time I had smelt death hiss out, and that's because you needled him down. And I didn't cover that part. He had a sucking chest wound, and you gave him a decompression. I had saved a human being. A poor, scrawny kid eking out a living by driving a banged-up truck past known ambush sites. Would he eventually join the Taliban and betray an American convoy? I had no idea. Sure, some of the villagers at Ganjgal had been real pricks, but why should I hold it against this kid? I ran back down the road, hoisted up another wounded truck driver, and carried him back. Then I stopped to check on the skinny kid. I wanted to pat him on the shoulder to make myself feel good for my supposedly wonderful deed. Only he was dead. He had bled to death from the wound to his left arm. The crew in the army truck had let him bleed out not 5 feet away because he was an Afghan and they were afraid. Damn it. The Afghan drivers were all huddled together in a ditch by the river. The ambush had been sprung about 90 minutes earlier. By now they had pissed themselves dry and had nowhere to go. I banged my rifle on I banged my rifle butt on an army truck, yelling to the soldiers to open up. At least give me some water for those poor bastards, I shouted. A sheepish medic got out of the truck with several bottles of water and his med pack and ran over to the ditch. I knelt there looking at the blood stains from the kid right beside the truck door. I banged on the steel door again. It opened a crack. "Fuck you," I said to the captain inside. As the traffic jam was sorted out, Colonel Yu and I walked back to our Humvee. The dead kid lay on the hood, and rather than ride to base with a corpse between us, we wedged the body in the trunk. Sometimes you laugh, sometimes you want to cry. Before dropping a shell down a mortar tube, the gunner levels the bubbles on his sight. If he loses the bubbles, then the tube is pointed at a crazy angle. After Ganjgal, I was losing the bubble.